The Promise Part 21 love story. The Friday evening began well. Chris went to his apartment and Lena returned to her place as they had planned to catch up later. The air outside carried that golden calm that comes before night fully takes the sky. Chris stepped into his apartment, tired but peaceful. He set down his bag, loosened his shirt collar, and stretched his arms. The silence felt good after a long day, until his eyes caught sight of something on the floor near the door. An envelope, plain, unlabeled. He bent down and picked it up, wondering who could have left it there. Maybe the landlord? But as soon as he opened it, a small bracelet slipped out. Black beads shining softly, with a red heart in the middle. His fingers froze. Then, unfolding the paper inside, his breath caught. Dear Chris, I tried not to think of you today, but it didn't work. Every time I remembered your smile, I whispered a small prayer for you. This bracelet is a small thing, but I made it with love. I hope it reminds you that you are appreciated, thought of, and prayed for. If today gets heavy, wear it, and remember that someone out here believes in you. Lena. For a moment, Chris didn't move. The warmth of her words filled the room like light. He smiled slowly, his chest tightening, a deep emotion rising that he couldn't name. He ran his thumb across the bracelet, lifted it to his nose. It carried her scent. Soft, sweet, familiar. He laughed quietly, shaking his head. Lena, how can you do this? Without thinking, he took his phone and began to type. Chris. Thank you so much, sweet Lena. You have no idea what this means to me. Your gift, your words. They made my day brighter than you can imagine. He hit send and leaned back, still smiling. At that moment, Lena was home too. Her phone buzzed. When she read Chris's message, her lips curved into a wide smile that warmed her whole face. She held the phone close to her chest, whispering softly, You're welcome, Chris. She headed to the kitchen to grab a glass of juice because she was really hungry. While she was there, she started thinking about what to wear if they decided to go out tonight. She wanted to impress Chris, and that made her very aware of how she looked. Meanwhile, Chris was getting himself refreshed. He opened his laptop to check for any updates. On the screen, he saw a message from Commissioner Ruiz that said the code was complete. Earlier that day, Chris had done a background check on the people in Lena's life before he showed up. That's when he stumbled upon some information about Maria. But he had also looked into Mr. Lee, the man who owned the cafe where Lena worked. Everything he read confirmed what his heart already knew. Clean record. 20 years in the U.S., 4 years waiting for citizenship. No criminal past. Just a humble man holding on to an honest dream. Chris frowned slightly, wondering why someone like that would still be waiting after so long. Then he picked up his phone and sent a short message to Commissioner Ruiz, his old contact and the only man who understood that, when Chris asked for something, it wasn't a favor. It was justice. Chris had full confidence in Commissioner Ruiz, and everything went smoothly. He mentioned to Ruiz that Mr. Lee's positive feedback should be delivered today at the restaurant address he had texted him earlier, sometime between 5 and 6 p.m. Now it was 6 p.m. Across town, Mr. Lee stood in front of his small counter, sorting bills, and 2 envelopes were delivered, one from Homeland Security and the other containing a note and a photo. He froze, his fingers trembling. He tore it open, read the words once, then again, until the letters blurred through tears. Approved, after 4 years. Emotion took over him. He sat down, clutching the letter to his chest. Oh, thank you, God, he whispered, voice breaking. He then tore open the second envelope and was hit with the shock of his life. Thanks for being such a caring and wonderful person, signed sincerely Chris, it read. Inside was a little picture of him, along with his new address. Just come by, I'll be waiting for you. Mr. Lee couldn't hold back his tears. They just kept coming. He had been on the verge of giving up after waiting for what felt like an eternity. Not knowing what to do next, he had surrendered everything to God. Then he grabbed his phone and dialed Chris's number. Chris, he said, breathless. Please, I need to see you, sir. Chris paused at the word sir. That told him everything. You got it, didn't you? He said calmly. Yes, Mr. Lee replied, voice trembling with joy. Please, can I come to see you? Of course, Chris said quietly. Come to my place. That evening, Mr. Lee arrived at Chris's new apartment. Chris, he said, voice cracking. I don't know how to thank you. I've been waiting for 4 years, and now this. It feels unreal. Chris motioned him to sit, his tone calm and kind. You've earned it, Mr. Lee. You didn't deserve that delay. I just made a few calls. Mr. Lee sat down slowly, overwhelmed. Why would you do that for me? Chris leaned forward. Because you've been good to someone who means everything to me. Mr. Lee blinked. Lena? Chris nodded softly. Yes. You've treated her with respect. You gave her work when she needed it most, and you treated me with warmth and kindness. Chris leaned forward slightly, his voice calm and steady. Mr. Lee, tell me something, he said. What is one thing you've always wanted to do, but never had the chance to? Mr. Lee smiled faintly, a trace of longing passing through his eyes. To go home. He said softly. Back to South Korea. I've been here 20 years and I've never taken a long rest. I want to go back, even for 6 months, to see my family, to breathe the air I grew up with. Chris nodded slowly, touched by the simplicity of his wish. He reached into his coat pocket and took out a small black card, placing it carefully in Mr. Lee's hands. Mr. Lee stared at him in disbelief, his hands trembling around the card. Chris, he whispered, emotion rising in his voice. The Promise Part 22 love story. Mr. Lee wrapped his arms around Chris, expressing his gratitude for such a beautiful and memorable surprise. He then asked Chris if he could go and share the news with Lena. Chris laughed, saying he hoped Lena wouldn't be let down. Mr. Lee reassured him, saying he'd present it in a way that Lena would really appreciate. Before parting ways, Chris reminded Mr. Lee not to forget about his upcoming appointment. He mentioned that the guy in the office would be expecting him on Monday, and everything would be sorted out on the same day. Feeling a happiness he had never experienced before, I'm just a call away, Mr. Lee. Anything you ever need, reach me directly on that number. When Mr. Lee stepped out into the night air, his heart was full. The city lights shimmered against the wet pavement as he crossed the street toward Lena's apartment. She heard a knock and, smiling, hurried to the door, expecting to see Chris. But when she opened it, she froze for a second, surprised to find Mr. Lee standing there. Mr. Lee, she said, her voice soft but warm. He smiled in that fatherly way of his. My dear Lena, you look more radiant every day. I hope you've been resting well. Thank you, sir, she said shyly, stepping aside. Please, come in. He entered, his eyes moving over the tidy room before settling on her again. I won't stay long, he began kindly. I came to tell you something important. I'll be recommending you for another job, but this one's in Florida. It's a beautiful province, warm and peaceful. I think you'll love it. Lena blinked in surprise. Florida? She repeated softly. But what about Chris? Mr. Lee smiled knowingly. I already spoke to him. He said it depends only on whether you accept. The rest, he'll take care of. A faint blush rose on Lena's cheeks. She looked down for a moment, smiling shyly. He's a good man, Mr. Lee said gently. Treasure him. Lena nodded, her voice quiet. I know. He's been more than I ever expected. Mr. Lee leaned forward slightly. About the housing there. Everything's already arranged. You'll be sharing the same apartment with Chris. It's furnished, safe, and comfortable. Her eyes widened a little. Really? And what about the payment? He smiled. It's twice what you've been earning here. A fresh start for both of you. Lena's face lit up with gratitude. She stepped forward and hugged him tightly. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Thank you so much. How soon can we go? Mr. Lee chuckled softly. As soon as you want, my dear. She smiled brightly. Then I'll tell Chris right away. He nodded, adjusting his coat. Good. And don't worry about me. I'll finally take a long rest in South Korea. 6 months, maybe more. I think I've earned that. Lena smiled, her heart full. You deserve it, Mr. Lee. Thank you for everything. As he stepped out, she stood by the door for a moment, watching him disappear down the hallway. Her heart raced, not just with excitement about Florida, but with something deeper. Chris! Lena's voice came through with a rush of energy. Mr. Lee was just here. He told me everything about the cafe, about not working there anymore. He even mentioned Florida. Did you hear from him? Chris leaned back on the couch, his tone calm and warm. Yes, Lena. He called me right after leaving your place. And yes, the Florida offer is real. I've been checking everything myself. It's quiet, warm, and peaceful there. The weather's good all year. You mean we could really go? She asked, her voice rising in disbelief. Chris smiled. If possible, yes. We can even fly out tomorrow. It's only about 2.5 hours from here. You just need to bring your passport so we can book the tickets tonight. Lena gasped softly. Tomorrow? Chris, are you serious? Absolutely, he said, chuckling. I've already checked the weather forecast. It's perfect this weekend. It's the best time to go. Her excitement spilled over instantly. Tomorrow! She shouted through the phone, laughing with joy. Oh my God, Chris, I'm so happy for that! Chris winced and laughed at the same time, holding the phone away from his ear. Lena, my ear nearly exploded, he said jokingly. You just turned happiness into thunder. She burst out laughing. I can't help it. You don't understand. This feels like a dream. Florida! I've never even been on a flight that far. Chris smiled, leaning forward on his knees. Then this will be your first one with me, he said warmly. And don't worry about the expenses. We don't care about that. What matters is the experience, the peace, and you getting some rest. Lena grew quiet for a moment, her voice softer now. You really thought this through, didn't you? I did, Chris admitted. I've been planning it for a while. You need to breathe again, Lena. You've been working too hard for too long. Florida will do you good. She exhaled deeply, still smiling. You have no idea how happy this makes me. So I just bring my passport, right? Exactly, Chris said. Bring your passport and come over here. We'll book the tickets together. And since tomorrow is Saturday, we can leave first thing in the morning if you're ready. Lena giggled. Tomorrow? I still can't believe this. Chris, this is the best news I've heard in years. I'm glad, he said softly. Now come over. There's a lot we need to talk about before the trip. She hesitated, then asked shyly, Should I wear something nice tonight? You mentioned going out before. Chris grinned. Wear whatever you want, Lena, even if it's not warm. We'll take a taxi. No buses tonight. She laughed. That sounds like a date. Maybe it is, he said playfully. And hey, bring that smile with you. The Promise, Part 23. Love Story. Billionaire Mark Davis has been missing for nearly a month, the words blasted from every TV in the city. Chris froze mid-sentence, still on a call with Lena, as his laptop blinked red. 10 missed calls from Tom, 5 from Commissioner Ruiz. The last message flashed, Turn on the TV. You won't believe what Mrs. Davis has done. His stepmother's face appeared on screen, painted with false worry. Her voice trembled just enough for the cameras, pleading for anyone with information. Chris's jaw clenched. He knew the act too well. Moments later, his phone rang. It was Tom. It's all over the news, Chris. They're calling you missing. The press will start tracing your last known movements soon. Chris exhaled slowly. Then it happens tonight. He called the pilot himself. His tone was calm, steady. Fly to Newark immediately. We take off at 10. I want the cabin refreshed, new wardrobe loaded. Yes, sir, came the reply. 1 hour and we'll be ready. He packed light. His laptop, some files, and the black and red bracelet Lena had made him. He ran his thumb over the little red heart at its center and smiled faintly. This stays with me, he thought. Chris had to cancel their dinner plans. His image was at stake, and he had no security with him. This wasn't good for his companies either. Anger churned within him, but for a moment, all he could think about was Lena. He needed to make headlines somehow, but that would have to wait until tomorrow when they were in Florida at his villa. He quickly called Lena. Hello, sweet Lena. There's been a change of plans, he said. Are we still going to Florida tomorrow? She asked. Before she could finish, Chris was already at her door. When Lena heard the doorbell, she smiled and opened it. Chris wrapped her in a tight hug, as if it were the first time he'd seen her. Do you have a lot of luggage? He asked. Just a small case, nothing much, she replied. Are we flying now? Listen, he said. You're going to meet someone who has been waiting to see you. Mr. Lee asked me to get you ready. What about you, Chris? I don't want to meet people I don't know, she said, concern in her voice. Chris smiled gently. I think you know this person. I wouldn't put you in danger if I thought you didn't." His calm tone reached straight to Lena's heart, breaking down her walls. "Will you be with me?" she asked, her voice soft. "No," he replied. "But do you trust me, Lena?" "Yes, I do," she said, smiling. "I need to shower first," Lena told him. "I'll wait for you," Chris said, his heart racing at the thought of her. As she stepped away, he silently wished for the day he could shower her with love. It was now 8 p.m., and Chris felt the pressure of time. While she showered, he discreetly disconnected the television wire in her apartment. He needed to tell Lena the truth himself. 30 minutes later, he received confirmation from the pilot of his jet. Lena emerged, looking stunning in her maroon jumpsuit. She paused to place a photo of her parents on the table, whispering, "Mom, Dad, bless my journey with Chris." Then she knelt beside her bed and prayed, "Dear God, shine your light on our journey. Protect me and Chris from the unseen. Bless this trip and open the way for both of us." Chris watched her kneeling in prayer, and a wave of admiration washed over him. "Oh, Lena," he whispered to himself, "how did I ever find you?" He helped her zip up her jumpsuit, captivated by her beauty. The closeness between them was almost overwhelming, and he fought the urge to kiss her neck. Time seemed to fly for Chris, but his heart raced even faster. The way Lena looked at him made everything else fade away. For a moment, he couldn't resist the pull of her presence. He gently turned her around, and when she rested her head on his chest, the world around them disappeared. He could feel the rhythm of his heart, matching the softness of her touch. Lena felt so warm and inviting that Chris nearly forgot to breathe. He whispered her name, Lena, but silently hoped their eyes wouldn't meet just yet. He knew Lena was feeling his body rioting, but she was partly to blame. Her energy, that crushed his walls, radiated effortlessly. No woman had ever been able to reach Mark straight and sit in his heart without permission, like Lena Makosa. A tension he couldn't control. And for her part, she avoided looking into his eyes, aware of the electricity that sparked between them. They both wanted to explore this connection, but they were cautious, wanting to move at a pace that felt right for each other. Just then, Chris's phone buzzed, breaking the moment. The driver had arrived to take Lena away. They exchanged smiles, and hand in hand, Chris helped her lift her suitcase. "Haven't you forgotten anything?" he asked playfully. She shook her head, a soft smile on her lips. But he leaned closer, whispering, "You look gorgeous, sweet Lena." Her cheeks flushed as she replied with a shy, "Thank you." As Lena settled into the car, Chris crossed the street, heading back to his apartment. He needed to be at the jet before her. A car was already waiting for him, its engine humming softly. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his rioting body. At one point, he laughed about himself. He wanted to blame his body for reporting him so fast. After a quick shower, he slipped into his maroon and cream shirt, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. The car whisked him away to the airstrip, where the adventure of a lifetime awaited. Lena was about to meet the man who would break the news of Mark Davis being missing. When Chris arrived at the airstrip, the private jet shimmered under the runway lights like a sleeping star. He checked his watch. Everything on schedule. He straightened his maroon shirt and walked slowly toward the stairs. The Promise Part 24, Love Story. Near the quiet runway, its lights slicing through the misty night. Lena sat still, clutching her small case as the driver turned toward her with a calm smile. He handed her a folded paper. "Please read this, miss," he said. Lena unfolded it and read aloud softly. "To make your surprise complete, please allow the driver to tie this white ribbon gently over your eyes. Trust the moment." She frowned in curiosity. "Who gave you this?" "A gentleman called Mr. Lee," the driver replied politely. "Mr. Lee?" Lena smiled, shaking her head in disbelief. "All right, then." The driver carefully tied a soft white ribbon around her eyes. She laughed nervously. "This is strange." "You'll understand soon," he said, leading her out. The air was cooler outside. She heard the faint hum of engines nearby and thought they were walking into a building. "Where are we going?" she asked. "We're going up some stairs," he replied. She took slow steps, one hand gripping the railing, when the voice of the pilot echoed gently, You may remove the blindfold now." Her heart skipped a beat. She loosened the ribbon, and as light spilled into her eyes, she froze. Across a small table set for two sat Chris, calm, elegant, and smiling at her. "Chris," she whispered in disbelief. He nodded softly. "Yes, Lena." Her laughter came out in nervous bursts. "What? Where are we?" "Didn't we agree to get to know each other?" he asked gently. "Yes," she said softly, almost afraid to breathe. He leaned forward. "Then welcome to the other side of Chris, the one called Mark." She blinked, confused. "Mark?" He nodded, voice steady. "My full name is Mark Davis." Her lips parted, words failing her. "Mark Davis?" He nodded again. "That's me." Lena's breath caught. Her hands trembled slightly as her mind tried to piece everything together. I can't believe this." Lena began to stammer, words failing to come out. "Yes, you told me you have 3 names." "Yes," he replied. "Beginning our journey to trust and know each other, we have to start from a place of strength. In a way that, no matter what, the backbone of our life together is built on trust. Chris is a name I chose to leave everything behind and find a woman who could see me for who I am, without money, after the death of my father. And thank God, I think I found her. And she is sitting right here. That's why I requested a chance for us to get to know each other," he added, his voice steady. "So you planned this night like this?" Lena asked, a hint of surprise in her tone. "No," he said, shaking his head. "At first I wanted to tell you when we arrived in Florida, but my stepmother declared me missing, and I'm all over the news. Something that would put your life and mine at risk without security." "Oh, Chris," she said, her heart racing. "Mark," he smiled, and she stood up, embracing him. "It's okay, Mark. I'm delighted, though still surprised." "We made you carry those boxes. I would carry them again if it means staying with you only," he said calmly. Her stomach made a noise, which drew a laugh from them both. Mark immediately led her to the table to eat. "Come, let's have dinner. Wait, I'm hungry too." He kissed her warmly on the cheek, and they sat down for dinner. After eating, he told her, "The plane will fly to Florida." Lena still felt like this was a dream. Deep inside, Mark sensed her unease, so he thought of ways to calm her down. They joked about food and Mr. Lee. "I thought I was going to meet maybe Mr. Lee's niece," Lena said, recalling the photos she had seen of her in her apartment. "So it means Mr. Lee knew?" she asked softly. Chris shook his head. "No, not at first. But he might know by now." Her heart fluttered at the conviction in his tone. She smiled shyly. "Then I guess I'm stepping into the world of Mark Davis." "You'll learn everything," he said warmly. "We'll learn together, Lena." Their eyes locked, steady, electric. The tension melted into something softer. The silence spoke more than words. "I thought surprises don't make people hungry." He smiled. "You'd be surprised." They ate across from each other, their laughter blending with the hum of the engines. Sometimes their eyes met and held too long. The world outside no longer existed. Just the two of them in the quiet, glowing cabin. When they finished, Chris leaned back with a sigh. "What a day. I've been running since dawn." "I'm tired too," Lena said softly, smiling. He stood and extended his hand. "Come, there's another room I want to show you. We can rest there." She followed him through the narrow passage. The bedroom at the back of the jet opened like a dream. Soft lights, cream sheets, gentle music in the background. "Chris," she whispered, awestruck. "This jet eye so beautiful. I've never seen anything like it, not even in a magazine." He chuckled. "And you've also never seen me in a magazine either, have you?" She giggled. "No, you're not from this planet, Chris." He smiled, stepping closer. "Then maybe we're both from different planets, Lena. Maybe we'll make our own." She laughed softly. "Maybe." Their laughter faded into silence. Chris looked at her. Her calm beauty, her lowered eyes, the way her lips curved when she was shy. It undid him. "Dance with me," he whispered. Her eyes met his, glowing. Without another word, he took her hand, and they moved to the soft rhythm playing through the speakers.
Every morning feels like music when I hear your voice so near. Every word you softly whisper feels like truth I need to hear. I thank the stars for what you've done. You're my moon, my rise This is love, I can feel it inside. It's like heaven open wide. Your smile keeps me awake at night. I see your face when I close my eyes. Girl, you gave my soul a reason to believe. The first time love found me. Oh, I used to dream but never knew how real love could feel with you. Now every moment, every breath I take is love I never wanna break. This is love, and it feels so right, like the stars are burning bright. Your touch keeps my heart alive. You're my reason, my light, my sky. Girl, you gave my soul a reason to believe. The first time love found me.
As the music quieted down, there was nothing more to say. All Mark could think about was that the woman who made his heart race like crazy needed a moment to catch her breath. Tomorrow, she'd strike the big news, and it would hit the media just like her everything had hit him, powerfully and unexpectedly. The Promise Part 25 love story. The jet descended through a calm stretch of midnight clouds, its silver wings glowing faintly under the Florida moon. After nearly 2.5 hours in the air, they were finally landing. Both Chris and Lena had rested for a while, an hour and a half of quiet peace. The cabin lights were dimmed, and the soft hum of the engines filled the silence. Chris had leaned back, watching her sleep lightly beside him. Even in her sleep, her face carried that soft grace that made his heart ache in the best way. He had made a promise to himself on that flight, to respect her, to take things slow, to protect her peace. Lena, far from her home, had stepped into a world completely unknown, and he knew what that required: patience, care, and respect. Outside, the runway lights glimmered like tiny fires. 2 large American model SUVs waited, sleek, black, and polished under the floodlights. One of the cars was for security and the other for them. As they stepped down from the jet, the warm Miami air embraced them. Chris led her to the car himself, carrying her small case. The second car followed behind as security detail. When they got inside, Lena pressed her hand lightly on her chest, overwhelmed by everything. "You know what?" she said softly, looking out through the tinted window. "I just need to keep quiet. Because whatever I say right now could blind my eyes." Chris laughed gently, glancing at her. "You're allowed to speak, you know." She smiled shyly. "No, this is too much. It's like I'm in a dream." He turned toward her slightly, his voice calm. "I know it's a lot. I'm sorry if it all feels too fast." "I didn't mean to overwhelm you." She looked at him, her expression soft. "You didn't overwhelm me, Chris. You surprised me, in the most beautiful way." "This place is like something from a movie." Chris chuckled. "I'm glad you think so. We actually have 3 villas here." Her head turned sharply, eyes wide. 3? Chris, already 1 is too much for me to believe. How can you say 3 villas? He laughed quietly. "Maybe one day the other 2 will be for our children." Her laughter filled the air. "Our children?" she repeated teasingly. "Yes," he said, looking at her with a smile that held more truth than jest. "Don't you like children?" She looked down, her tone softening. "I love children. My dream has always been to be a mother. A woman who cares, who builds a home filled with love. I've always wanted that more than anything." Chris watched her in silence, admiration glowing in his eyes. "What about work?" he asked gently. Them. "Oh, work," she said with a thoughtful smile. "I can do many things. I learned design, and I love creating beautiful things. But my heart, it's with family, with care, with building a home." He nodded slowly, eyes locked on hers. "So you wouldn't just be a wife to inspire others to work hard?" She laughed. "Why are we talking about wives already?" Chris grinned. "Maybe because we should also talk about husbands." Lena laughed again, shaking her head. "You are impossible, Chris." "Maybe," he said softly. "But I like where this conversation is going." They both burst into laughter, the sound echoing lightly through the still Florida night. The villa lights shimmered on their faces, the ocean breeze moving through the open hall. Lena turned to look at the horizon, her heart still racing. Their earlier talk still echoed between them. That part where she'd said her dream was to build a loving home, to be a mother, to create peace rather than chase power. He thought silently to himself, Lena, she isn't ambitious in the usual way. She's calm both inside and out. She doesn't chase, she doesn't demand. She's content with what's there, yet she makes even the simple things shine. He tightened his grip on the steering wheel, the bracelet on his wrist catching a glint of light. Girls like her are rare. Calm, kind, gentle souls who don't measure love by wealth. Please, God, he whispered inwardly, let Lena be the forever of my forever. Let her be my peace, my home, my always. Lena, meanwhile, sat quietly watching the city lights pass by, her mind miles away. My mother won't believe this, she thought, and my father would probably just laugh saying I've gone mad. The thought made her giggle softly to herself. Chris turned his head slightly. What's funny? He asked with a grin. Lena shook her head quickly. Nothing really. Oh, come on, he teased. If you don't tell me, I'll start guessing. She laughed lightly, covering her mouth. You'll laugh at me. Then let me laugh, he said, eyes warm. Tell me what's going on in that beautiful mind of yours. All right. I was just thinking about my parents. If I tell my mother about you, about all this, she'll probably faint. And my father? She chuckled again. He'll say, that's impossible, Lena. You? With a man like that? Chris burst out laughing, the deep, sincere kind of laugh that came from the heart. I think I'd love to meet them both. The woman who gave you your smile, and the man who gave you this fire. When they reached the villa, the gates opened smoothly, revealing a private paradise wrapped in moonlight. The house glowed with soft amber lighting, surrounded by swaying palms and the sound of the sea nearby. Welcome, Lena, Chris said, his voice low and proud.